Hello everyone, this is Doug Morrison and I'd like to welcome you to the R-Factor webinar. I've got some really exciting information to share with you. In fact, I'm going to be giving you proven strategies for building the kind of life, lifestyle, career, and future you've been looking for. If life is feeling a bit stagnant for you right now, like you're just going through the motions every day and nothing really changes, I want to take you through a process that will help you to start dreaming again. And I want to give you the proven process for getting from where you are now to where you want to be. These proven strategies that I'll be sharing with you are already being used by top achievers around the world. People who've succeeded wildly in business, philanthropy, sports, entertainment, and so on. They've got awesome lifestyles, terrific relationships, fascinating causes that are important to them, and of course, they've got the freedom of making their own schedule to focus on the things they really want to do. I'd like that for you too, which is why I'm happy to have you here with me today to go through this proven formula. It's just a matter of following the steps. There are 4 steps in all, and if you had a chance to download and print out the workbook that's included free with this webinar, you'll see that there are worksheets that you can do in your own time for each of the 4 steps. So, let's get started. The first step to creating a future is actually an equation that changes everything. E plus R equals O, which stands for event plus response equals outcome. Before I learned this equation, I responded to life's events as they came up. If I got a flat tire, I got frustrated. If my bank account was in trouble, I was miserable. If there was bumper-to-bumper traffic when I was running late for a meeting, I blamed the traffic. That is, until I learned this equation for responding differently to life's events when they came up. Here's the reality. Events just happen. Often you can't control them because they materialize as a result of specific situations, other people's emotions, timing, the economy, the weather, a million other details that are outside of your control. Events just happen. But what most people do when faced with events is they feel harassed and stressed. They'll do anything to make the situation go away. That's reactionary, and unfortunately, it often produces an outcome that they don't want. So what's their first inclination? To blame the event for their bad outcome. Unfortunately, blaming an event for producing a negative in your life puts all the power outside of your control. There's nothing you can do about external events. They happen. That's reality. So the only way to get a good outcome is to respond in a way that will bring about the outcome you want. So today, the first step in this life-changing formula I've been talking about is to take responsibility for how you respond to events, mishaps, and catastrophes, but especially for how you respond to opportunities that come up. This doesn't mean you have to take responsibility for the event itself. That's usually out of your hands. But how you respond is 100% within your control. And that's the one leverage point where you can change what you get out of life. So, taking more responsibility for your responses is the first and most important step towards creating more success in our lives. You can be thoughtful and deliberate, or you can be frustrated and reactive and emotional. It's always your choice. And what's so terrific about this concept is that it puts control back in your hands. This is especially important when opportunities come up. Opportunities for you to get ahead or achieve what you want. Do you know that some people react emotionally when an actual opportunity presents itself? They complain that the timing isn't right, or they're not ready, or it'll require a lot of work to respond to the opportunity, or they don't have the money right now. You'd be surprised at the complaints you'll hear from people when opportunities arrive. But here's the second point about the E plus R equals O equation. You have to give up blaming and complaining about the event and focus on how you'll respond appropriately and positively. Getting back to negative events that happen, what do most people do? They tend to complain to the wrong person. If I'm upset that my boss has given me a ton of extra work to finish by tomorrow morning, I complain to my coworker. And if I'm upset with my spouse for spending on a major purchase without consulting me, I complain to my best friend. So that doesn't solve anything because you're complaining to the wrong person. It's wasted energy. I need to tell my boss that his timing or prioritization of projects is unworkable, and we need a better system of scheduling. I need to tell my spouse that I want to create a household budget so that major purchases are planned and paid for before we make the decision to buy. If I speak to the right person instead of the wrong person, the right person can do something about it. They have feedback that I would like something different. Of course, that person won't always grant my request, But at least communicating my request is the first step to actually getting what I want. This is just mature discussion. It's relationship management 101. But what about natural disasters or other events that don't involve individual people? I can respond differently to those events too. I can leave an extra 20 minutes early for an important meeting in case of traffic. I can keep up with the economic news and put extra savings aside if I think a recession is predicted. I can upgrade my skills so that I'm still valuable to the new management team after my company gets bought out. And I can have the right kinds of healthy foods in my fridge so that I'm not eating on the run or grabbing junk food because I'm too busy to shop or cook. Instead of spending most of our time blaming things outside ourselves, the weather, the boss, the traffic, the economy, or the current government, we can take action in advance and be prepared. We can devise ways to increase our options if disasters occur. Whatever the world throws at us, we have to stop blaming something outside of ourselves. So, taking more responsibility for our responses to events is the first and most important step towards creating more success in our lives. Another important part of taking responsibility and not being a victim in life is watching out for something that I call yellow alerts. Yellow alerts are little events or comments or recurring situations that you notice that act as clues that something is happening or is about to happen. Now here's an example. Let's say I hire Sarah as my personal assistant. 2 months later she says, "I'm thinking about marrying a wonderful guy who lives in the Bahamas," but I ignore that. A month after that, Sarah says she's really falling more in love with this guy and also hates the snowy weather here in Canada. A few weeks after that, she's buying bridal magazines and looking for real estate in Nassau. Then, all of a sudden, Sarah quits, and I'm surprised and unprepared and scrambling for a new admin solution because I wasn't paying attention to the yellow alert Sarah was giving me all along. There are lots of yellow alerts in your life, like your teenager coming home late night after night, or the senior executives from head office that have been repeatedly visiting your department with no explanation, or your biggest client has been giving projects that are ideal for you to someone else. You wonder, well, what's going on here? But you don't want to say anything because that would be uncomfortable. Unfortunately, because mature conversations and inquiries and taking action is inconvenient or uncomfortable, we tend to deny the yellow alerts rather than acting upon them in time. The truth is we're almost always given clues that things are coming. We are not the victims here. I want to direct your attention to 2 different exercises in the workbook that was included with today's class. If you don't have your workbook yet, you can download it later. It should have been included in your email. You won't need your workbook to do the exercises right now, but to get the most benefit from the class, please do the exercises as soon as possible. The first exercise I want to explain is something called a difficult or troubling situation analysis. Just like an unexpected event, we all experience ongoing, troubling situations from time to time. It's just part of life. No matter how well you prepare to avoid these hardships, they sometimes simply happen. And if not addressed, they can trouble you for years. It's far easier to resolve the situation and then move on. What kinds of situation am I talking about? Well, a teenager or a sibling who's not speaking to you, a financial difficulty that's getting worse every day, a health condition that's annoying, nagging, or uncomfortable, or a tense atmosphere at home or at the office. The key here is to respond to the event, whether it's sudden or long-standing, with a commitment to resolving it so you can move on to creating better outcomes in the future. The difficult or troubling situation analysis will help you get past a current situation so you can focus on your success again. The exercise has full instructions in the workbook, but it essentially asks you to analyze the payoffs or benefits you get for keeping the situation like it is, the negative costs of keeping it like it is, your part in creating or allowing it, and actions you could take or requests you could make to get what you want instead. Don't fail to respond to a troubling situation because it's easier, more convenient, less uncomfortable, less confrontational, keeps the peace, or doesn't require taking risks. Take action. Don't allow negative outcomes to be your life. In the same way, you don't want to fail to respond to a yellow alert because it's easier or more convenient or less confrontational. There's a second exercise in your workbook called, "What are you pretending not to know?" If you're experiencing negative outcomes in your life, Perhaps you're ignoring the facts or excusing your part in creating a problem. To help you identify areas to take corrective action or take action to prevent eventual disaster, the exercise asks you to examine each area of your life and then determine if there's a problem that you're ignoring or creating. You might be ignoring something to do with your health, your money, your family, your lifestyle, or career. Whatever it is, this exercise will help you to respond to the yellow alerts before something disastrous occurs. The next critical step in the proven success formula that I introduced to you at the beginning of this webinar is that you have to decide what you want. One of the most amazing phenomena you'll ever experience as you incorporate this formula into your daily life is the unexpected phone call, the windfall financial benefit, or the uncanny new acquaintance that brings you exactly what you want or need in order to achieve your goals, almost as if it were planned. Perhaps you're being rewarded for your new take-action attitude by harnessing all the forces at your disposal. Or perhaps you've worked hard and have grown yourself to the point where you're finally ready to receive a benefit which has been waiting in the wings all along. But more probably, as researchers now believe, it may simply be a matter of your subconscious mind focusing on and recognizing opportunities when they arrive. Of course, the main reason why most people don't get what they want is they haven't decided what they want. They haven't defined their goals exactly in clear and compelling detail. After all, how else can your mind know where to begin looking, seeing, and hearing if you don't give it specific and detailed goals to achieve? There's a very powerful technique for helping you define what you want in vivid detail. I'll be talking about that in just a moment. But before defining the ideal life you want for yourself, here's a word of caution. Make sure that your wants are personally important to you, not those you believe should be important, or those the world expects you to have, or something your mother wants you to focus on, but what's truly important to you from the deepest place in your heart. Don't live someone else's dream. Unfortunately, the sad reality for most people is they simply aren't honest with themselves. If they were, they would realize their shoulds are almost less interesting and more hassle than what they truly want. Here's an example. Many people who have become social media influencers or industry experts were working dull jobs and following a career that other people thought was fantastic. But their lives didn't really become thrilling or fulfilling or meaningful or even lucrative until they started a decorating blog or started consulting with small businesses or writing cookbooks. Once they were living the life they truly wanted, all the necessary opportunities showed up, including the money. One of the easiest ways to begin deciding what you truly want is to ask a friend to help you make a list. Have the friend continually ask you, "What do you want? What do you want?" for about 10 or 15 minutes while jotting down your answers. You'll find the first wants you run through aren't all that profound. In fact, most people usually hear themselves saying, "I want a Mercedes," "I want a big house on the ocean," and so on. But by the end of the 15-minute exercise, the real you will begin to speak. Things like, "I want people to love me. I want to make a difference in the world. I want to be significant in my field." Wants that are true expressions of your heartfelt desire. So that's a quick exercise you can do with a friend, and then trade places and help them make their own list of wants too. But to really create your definitive list, I want you to turn to the page in your workbook and find an exercise called the Vision Exercise. It will help you decide what you want to be, do, and have in the 7 major areas of your life. The Vision Exercise is also located in your workbook. This is an exercise you do privately, just you alone. Start by putting on some relaxing music and sitting quietly in a comfortable environment where you won't be disturbed. Then close your eyes and ask your subconscious mind to give you images of what your ideal life would look like if you were living it exactly as you want. Visualize your life in 7 key areas: your career and professional life, finances, recreation and free time, body and physical health, relationships, personal growth, and your community work. As you go through the exercise, you'll be defining what you want to be, do, and have in each of these 7 areas. There are ideas, prompts, and memory joggers in each section to help you think through your ideal life, but your subconscious mind knows what you want and should be the ultimate source of ideas for you. Many people set aside an evening to do the rest of this exercise. So tonight, after this webinar, is a great time to get started on this lengthy exercise. But it's an important one because they will ultimately form a list of goals that you need to work on. Okay, so here's some really good news. Those wants that you'll be identifying later in your workbook are achievable. In fact, for almost everything we want, someone else has already done it, created it, owned it, or achieved it. So there's not much of what you want anymore that's so lofty it can't be accomplished. But the key to getting what you want, and here's step 3 in the formula that I introduced at the beginning, is to set goals around the things that you want to be, do, and have. And how do we set a goal? By writing it in such a way that it's specific and measurable. That is, someone other than you can know for certain whether you've achieved that goal or not. Let me give you an example. If you said, I want to own a house on the beach someday, well, that's a nice dream or desire for you. In fact, I have the same one. But to make it into a specific, measurable goal, you need more information, and you need to state it in a way that there is certainty you'll have that house one day. Like this: I'll own a 2,000 square foot house on Salt Spring Island by 12 o'clock midnight, April 30th, 2025. Do you see the difference? This second version of your goal tells your brain exactly what you want to achieve, not just a vague, dreamy hope. If you want to retire early with your investments, for example, state the exact amount you'll have invested on the date that you plan to retire. As part of the vision exercise in the workbook, you'll be turning all of your wants into specific and measurable goals that you can work on and achieve. That's exercise 4. And here's a bonus idea. Why not create minimum goals, target goals, and outrageous goals? Whenever you write down your specific and measurable goals, set 3 different levels that you'll achieve. Let's say you want to build a large savings account and get out of debt. A minimum goal might be putting together a $500 emergency fund in the next 30 days. A target goal might be to save up 3 to 6 months of living expenses over the next year. And an outrageous goal might be to pay off all your debt and your mortgage in the next 7 years. The outrageous goal is always something that would just blow your mind if you achieved it. Your target goal is usually something within your capabilities, and your minimum goal is something you're almost guaranteed to reach. But it gets you going and taking action. Whereas an outrageous goal might seem too overwhelming to even start. What happens with this minimum, target, optimum formula is that most people will start with the minimum. Then they get motivated and end up reaching their target goal very easily. Have you ever said, I'm just going to get rid of these old dishes in the garage, and the next thing you know, you've cleaned the entire garage and even called a local charity to haul away a truckload of stuff? It's just a matter of getting started. You could even delegate the entire garage cleanup to a professional organizer or trade with a friend by doing something for them. That would achieve your target goal for certain. While goal setting is an important step to achieving the wants in our dream list, most of the goals we set focus on improving our life in the moment. Things like get the house painted, finish my sales report, clean out the laundry room, lose 20 pounds. But what if, instead, you focused on a single goal that would up-level everything you do, from your career to your income to your lifestyle? Wouldn't that be a goal worth pursuing? Wouldn't that be something to focus on a little each day until you achieved it? Think about it. If you were an independent sales professional and knew you could get a substantial bonus, commission, and maybe even a promotion once you landed a certain number of customers, wouldn't you work day and night to achieve that goal? If you were a stay-at-home mom whose entire lifestyle could be changed by earning an extra $3,000 a month, wouldn't you pursue every possible opportunity for side work on your own part-time business to achieve that goal? That's what I mean by a breakthrough goal. Something that changes your life, brings you new opportunities, gets you up in front of the right people, and up-levels every activity, relationship, or group you're involved in. What might your single breakthrough goal be? There's an exercise in the workbook that will help you decide. But for the purpose of this webinar, whether you believe you can achieve it or not, what one single change in your career, business, lifestyle, or relationships would boost you to the next level? Is it landing a promotion, changing jobs, expanding your business, finding your soulmate, qualifying for an award, going back to school, moving across the country, retiring early, or some other goal? Take time to think about your breakthrough goal. There's a page in the workbook to figure it out and jot it down. Look for exercise number 5. I want to finish our discussion of goal setting by talking about a technique that will help you achieve major goals in record time. It's a way to get your brain focused on assembling the resources, people, money, and circumstances needed to bring about your everyday goals, and especially your breakthrough goal. It's called affirmations. Affirmations are vividly detailed statements of your living, working, and enjoying life as if your goals had already been achieved. Affirmations help the brain focus on bringing about your heartfelt desires. One example of an affirmation is, I'm happily depositing my first $100,000 royalty check as a best-selling author. Another one might be, I'm joyfully receiving the company's top sales reward. How do affirmations work? Well, as scientists now know, the brain is a goal-seeking organism. If you give it a compelling, colorful, crystal clear image of what you want, it will work night and day to create the opportunities, contacts, resources, and circumstances needed to achieve that vision. In fact, the brain is a special function called the reticular activating system that filters through the millions of impressions, images, messages, and thoughts that it processes each day and passes to your conscious mind the specific information that will help you reach your goal. Reciting your affirmations frequently through the day actually focuses your brain on the goals you want to achieve. Write them out on cards, note cards, or put them on your smartphone or on a sign at the bottom of your bathroom mirror. In some place you'll see it frequently as a way to constantly focus you on your most important goals. And just keep visualizing yourself in the future as if you'd already achieved it. It's also powerful to add color, sounds, emotions, and other sensory aspects to your visualization time. As you review your goals, try to experience the feeling of confidence as you deliver the keynote address at your industry's annual conference, or the scent of the cinnamon rolls baking at your new bed and breakfast, or the sound of waves breaking at the senior executives retreat in Hawaii, or the joy you'll feel as you're living out your dream career or professional accomplishment. Repetition is the key. The workbook includes detailed guidelines to help you write powerfully effective affirmations for your situation, using your goals and previous exercises about what you want to do, be, and have. Look for exercise number 6. Of course, we've come to the most important step in the original 4-part formula that I introduced at the beginning. It's step number 4. Take action on your goals. Sometimes our biggest life goals seem to be so overwhelming. Though we may work hard at achieving them, too often we decide to put them off altogether until we have more time, more focus, more energy, whatever. We rarely see our goals as a series of small tasks. But in reality, breaking down the goal into smaller tasks and accomplishing them a few at a time is precisely how any big goal gets achieved. By breaking down your goal into bite-sized pieces and baby steps, you can begin accomplishing the small tasks that you've determined will lead to achieving your goal. But be aware, preparing to move forward isn't the same as taking action itself. In other words, preparation, research, planning, getting it perfect, these are all areas where people get bogged down and never actually start taking action. They're too busy getting ready. But one way I recommend you actually start to take action on your goals is something called chunking it down. If you had a target goal of saving up 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses in an emergency fund, a sample goal that we mentioned earlier, what steps could you take to pull that money together over the next 8 months? Could you determine the amount of money per month you'd need to save? Identify what portion of your current savings you might use for that fund. Make a list of money sources to save, such as overtime pay at work or a holiday bonus. Make a list of unused items that you could sell online. Open up a new bank account for the money even before starting to earn more and sell things. These 5 steps, which are essentially research and making lists and going to the bank, are all things you could do in just one day, and in fact probably in one afternoon. By making lists of what needs to be done, you've essentially chunked down all the tasks into smaller steps that are doable and achievable. Which leads me to a helpful strategy, and that is practice something called the Rule of 5. The Rule of 5 simply means that every day you do 5 specific things that will move your goal towards completion. Bigger goals might take longer, but the Rule of 5 still applies. Do 5 things every day until your goal is achieved. Take buying a house in Hawaii, for example. Well, that's a big goal, but chunk it down and do 5 things a day. You have to research locations. Which is the best for you? Which island? Find out how much homes there cost. Determine how much money you'll need to save. Research where you can get your financing. Decide where you'll get your furniture. Determine the repairs or decorating budget you'll need, and so on. Once you decide all these things and chunk down each larger goal into smaller steps, you can begin taking action on these steps. 5 steps a day until you achieve your goal. While he didn't call it the rule of 5, a seminar leader once said that in order to arrive at the life of your dreams, number 1, make a wish list of the activities, finances, and lifestyle you'll be enjoying once you get there. Number 2, break down each wish on the list into steps you'll need to take. Number 3, choose a number of those steps to achieve each week or month or year. And number 4, achieve them. That's the game plan we're talking about here for achieving the life of your dreams, or for achieving virtually any impressive goal you've set for yourself. Is there something that hinders people from taking action at all? Of course. One thing is the feeling that they can't accomplish even the smallest of steps. They don't feel confident. Another is that they feel overwhelmed by the sheer amount of stuff they already have to do. And a third is that they have to ask someone for something in order to move forward, and asking is something they're simply afraid to do. Well, let's address these obstacles right now. I'm actually going to start with the second one. People feel overwhelmed by the amount of tasks they already have to do. Most of us have incompletes and messes in our households. We've got overflowing closets, broken screen doors, 6 years' worth of tax paperwork and bills that aren't filed, and a fight with our sibling that's still unresolved. We have incompleted tasks and messes that aren't cleaned up. So one way to stop feeling overwhelmed by what you already have to do is to clean up these messes and incompletes first. It's especially important to handle these incompletes because of what psychologists call attention units. You can only attend to 7 things at once. Beyond that, you can't handle more. So when you have a cluttered desk, when you're constantly seeking all those papers and unanswered letters and 3,000 emails in your inbox, these things steal your focus away from other tasks that you want to accomplish. You look over your mental to-do list and think, oh, I should move on that. I should put that away. I need to answer that. The more incompletes you have in your life, the more your focus and creative energy gets fractured and scattered. The other reason it's important to clean up your messes and your incompletes is that doing so builds self-confidence and self-esteem. When we have a lot of incompletes in our life, we're consciously or unconsciously judging ourselves as incompetent and incapable because we haven't completed them. Every time you look at these messes, they're reflecting back to us the message, you aren't handling me. We're either afraid to handle them or don't know how to handle them. And this fear and lack of knowledge compromises our feelings of competence. By handling the incompletes, we get more time in our lives to focus on those steps that will bring about the really important goals and dreams that we have. So take the time to put all your incompletes and messes down on one list, on paper or on your computer. Walk around the house, note things room by room. Go through your stack of bills. Go through anything that you haven't handled yet. Once you have these things listed, you can prioritize them. Then tackle one a month or one a quarter or one a week or one a day. You don't have to think about all the others because you know that they're on the list and they'll be handled in the order of their importance. You can even apply the minimum, target, optimum model to the messes. What is the minimum goal or the smallest incomplete that you'll commit to handling by this weekend? What's a larger mess or incomplete you could make a target goal to handle this month? And what's an outrageous goal you could handle over the next 90 days? Handling incompletes and messes boosts your confidence and creates available attention span in your life to tackle 5 things a day that you want to do to reach your really big goals. But let's address the third roadblock that keeps people from taking action on their goals. And that is they lack confidence when asking for what they need from people who can help them reach their goals. Asking for help you need is still a challenge that holds many people back. Why are people so afraid to ask? We're afraid of several things. Looking needy, looking foolish, looking ignorant, but mostly we're afraid of rejection. We're afraid of hearing the word no. The sad thing is, when you don't ask, you're actually rejecting yourself in advance. You're saying no to yourself before anyone else has a chance to. Here's an illustration. If you apply to a university and you don't get in, well, you weren't there before you applied, and you're not there after you applied. Your life didn't get any worse. And think about it. You spent your whole life not going to university, and you know how to handle that. Someone telling you no doesn't make your situation any worse. It just keeps it the same. Well, there's a specific science to asking for and getting what you want or need in the pursuit of your goals. Here are some quick tips to get you more comfortable about asking. Number 1, ask as if you expect to get it. Ask with a positive expectation. Ask from a place that you already have been given it. It's a done deal. Ask as if you expect to get a yes. Number 2, assume you can. Don't start with the assumption that you can't get it. If you're going to assume you can get an upgrade. Assume you can get a table by the window. Assume you can return it without a sales slip. Assume that you can get that raise or promotion. Don't ever assume against yourself. Number 3, ask someone who can give it to you. Qualify the person. Determine for yourself, who would I have to speak to get this accomplished? Who's authorized to make a decision about it? Who would I have to speak to get whatever it is I'm asking for? Number 4, be clear and specific. Too many people are walking around wanting more money, more love, more help around the house, more recognition at work, more of everything, but they're not being specific. Do you want enough money to retire? Do you want to go on a date night twice a month? Do you want the kids' bedrooms picked up every Friday or the laundry done by Saturday morning? Make specific requests. Number 5, never give up. Whenever we ask others to participate in the fulfillment of our goals, some people are going to say no. They may have other priorities or commitments or some reason for not wanting to participate. It's no reflection on you. Just get used to the idea that there's going to be a lot of rejection along the way to your goal. The key is not to give up. When someone says no, you say next. Which brings me to number 6. Ask someone else. Remember, there's billions of people on the planet. Someone else has enough authorization or enough skill or knowledge or enough emotional investment in you to say yes. Don't get stuck in your fear. Move on to the next person and the next and the next until you connect with the person who can help you. It's a numbers game. Someone out there is willing to say yes. We've come to the end of today's webinar, but I want to close with 2 things. Number 1, I want you to choose right now one thing that you'll commit to doing to create the future you deserve, starting tonight. Whether it's to complete the Decide What You Want exercise, or to write out an affirmation, or to handle a difficult and troubling situation. Whatever it is, make a mental commitment to it now. Second, one of the things I really enjoy doing is coaching and advising people in achieving their dreams. This webinar and the workbook are just a small part of what I do with my clients. I'd like to close with an invitation to contact me for any additional help that you need. Sometimes it's difficult to find a friend or family member to work on those life-changing concepts with you. They aren't always supportive and may even be throwing roadblocks in your way. That's where I can help, by being an outsider and coach to help you identify the paths towards reaching your goals. So contact me at the email listed below. I've also put links to my website where I post weekly blogs and a site listing some of the coaching programs that I offer. So please feel free to reach out and contact me. Thank you so much for joining me on this webinar. And remember, don't just seize the day, seize your life.